Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's lecture we'll be looking on the challenges of corruption. So this lecture will be the last one in our ethics, after which the entire syllabus is done. So let's get into the topic, guys. So corruption actually it refers to the act of misuse and abuse of power, especially those in the government, for personal gains, either through pecuniary means or favor means. See, India is the least 93rd corrupt nation among the 180 countries, according to 2023 corruption perception index. Actually, this report is given by Transparency International. See, it shows that there are more countries which are less corrupt than India. So that process, that movement should always, that forward thinking must always be there, so that corruption reduces and more benefits are given towards the people, rather than someone taking the corruption, doing corruption for his or own favor. There are different types of corruption we should look into: coercive corruption and collusive corruption. See, in coercive corruption, the citizen is compelled to pay a bribe in order to get the service. Here, citizens end up losing more when they try to resist corruption. Like, it can lead to delays, harassment, lost opportunity, lost of precious time and wages, and at times, if it gets worse, sometimes losing life or limb. So this happens. This we have heard in India in the earlier past. Moving on to the next, collusive corruption. There is a collusion between bribe giver and the public servant, like where both of them benefit here at the expense of society, like awarding contracts for public works, procurement of goods and service, recruitment of employees. These all are collusive corruption when both the people get benefited. But in the coercive corruption, a citizen is affected, whereas the public servant is getting benefited. Let's look into the different variants of corruption. Misappropriation, like it is a theft of resources by those who are assigned to administer them. Like, it happens when dishonest employees steal from their bosses. Like, when a state employee steals from public institution in which he or she is engaged, and from the resources which he or she is obliged to administer on behalf of the public. See, this is misappropriation of funds, is a serious offense. Next one is nepotism. It is a favoritism in which official prioritizes his proper kin and family members. Like, many unconstrained rulers have always attempted to secure their authority by appointing family members to significant political, economic, and military roles inside the state apparatus. Conflict of interest. It is a minor but significant component of the larger issue of police ethics and corruption. Next one is favoritism. Like, it's a weapon of power that implies privatization and a highly biased allocation of state resources, regardless of how these riches were acquired in the first place. Yes. Next one is fraud. It's a financial crime that involves serious deception, scams, or fraud. Like, it's defined as a manipulation of distortion of information, facts, and expertise by public officials who are placed between politicians and citizens in order to gain personal benefit. Like, in this part we can call it 2G scam as an example, Commonwealth Games scams. So these are an examples of fraud or scams, you can call it. Bribery, as we all know, it is involving the improper use of gifts and favors in exchange of personal gain. Like this is also known as kickbacks. Now let's move on to the causes of corruption. Monopoly government. Government taking upon itself more than what it could manage by means of regulatory function. Uh, Here, actually, the causes of corruption were identified by Sandhanam Committee in 1963. So, monopoly of government, like in the earlier stages after independence in particular, India had almost everything under monopoly. Like no, there was very little privatization, and government was taking what it could manage more than that. What can government manage? It was taking more than what it could manage. So because of that, that acts as a cause for corruption in India. Wide discretion. Scope of discretion in the exercises of power vested in various categories of government servants. See, there is always wide discretion in the scope of powers, in the exercise of power. I mean, a collector can discrete his authority on why it has wide discretion, wide scope of powers. So, because of that, the authorities try to use that power, use that scope of discretion to for his or her own benefits. Next one is complex laws and regulation. Cumbersome procedures in dealing with various matters, in dealing with public that were of importance to citizens of day-to-day life. Like when you wanted to work on something, it takes a lot of time. Cumbersome procedures, lot of procedure to deal with something which are important for citizens in their day-to-day life, like water connection, EB connection, and etc. These are all very important. So when the cumbersome procedure, that's a long procedure, and they are important for public. When that complex rules and regulations take place, it forms a process for corruption in India. Next one is, what are the impacts of corruption? No guilt feeling. When the corrupt person gets scot free and prosper, it leads to a development of unethical culture, means where he or she may not necessarily justify the end. Corruption is considered as a given and is no abhorred. A person does not feel guilty at all for getting corrupted. No, he is not feeling that person. Poor infrastructure. Investment in physical capital is reduced here, and use of inferior quality raw materials in construction, which leads to poor infrastructure. Like this turn leads to various collapses of bridges, buildings, etc. Tainted democracy. Corruption undermines democracy, governance, and human rights by weakening the state institution. Widens inequality. Unequal opportunity, which leads to perpetuation of poverty. Next is damage to the ecosystem. Example, you will call it illegal mining in national parks like Gir National Park. Illegal mining in Gir National Park. Issues of national security. Corruption within the security agencies can lead to a threat to national security, including through distortion of procurement, recruitment of ineligible persons, providing an easy route for smuggling of weapons and terrorist elements into the country, and money laundering. Next one is compromising with the economic growth. Here, like when you increase the cost of doing business, it eventually compromises the economic growth. cost of doing business you increase as a for the corruption you do. So this brings in a problem and reduces the economic growth, eventually putting down the entire society at large. Now, what are the effects of corruption on the system? Snowballing. Small incidents of corrupt behavior tends to grow out to bigger ones, like not addressing the corruption here in time, turning to a blind eye, signals out that is okay, like which enhances the risk that trespassers will engage more frequently and on a larger scale. It might start small, but eventually it will turn out to be big. Next one is contamination. Corrupt behavior of employee tends to infect other colleagues. Yes, this might happen. Violations, when they are ignored or not dealt properly with the organization, could be interpreted as being acceptable by the organization. So you must remove or take action on that employee or officer, whomsoever it may be. Otherwise, it will be considered okay for the employees, for everyone to do corruption. Next one is radiation. Corruption within a certain part of civil service is damaging for the reputation of the entire civil service. Citizens and media generally do not make a distinction between different parts of public service. Hence, corruption attributed to the whole public system and thereby undermine its credibility. People will stop believing the public system because of the radiation issue. Next one is the revelation. Transparency is a key in the public sector. Like civil servants are like working in a fishbowl, where always being watched from all sides and studied with magnifying glass. Corrupt acts are thus more likely to be detected and exposed by the media, often resulting in the public indignation and loss of public trust. Again here, loss of public trust. Now let's look into what's the corruption and ethics. According to the second Administrative Reforms Commission report, Ethics in Governance, corruption is an important manifestation of the failure of ethics. Like it is ethically wrong because it violates the rights. See, the government is funded by taxes, and the taxpayers have the right to know that their money is spent on the behalf of entire general interest, not on the private interest of the government official. So corruption here is violation of right. Moral burden. The mere fact that both bribe giver and bribe taker want to keep it a secret is an indicator that corruption is something everyone considered unethical, improper, and even sinful by the public, which leads to moral burden on the soul. Support for function. To be able to function effectively and efficiently, the government requires public support, where integrity and absence of corruption are a prerequisite for attaining and maintaining the public interest or public trust, we can call it. Role modeling. The government has to lead by example if it wants the citizens to abide by the law and public morale. Ethical role modeling is thus of utmost importance, and corruption is vitiation of this role model. So we have to properly act. Government should lead by an example. That's how people will follow that. Now let's look into ways to tackle corruption. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 seeks to create a balance between the need to bring the corrupt to the books and protect honest officers, and also aims to prohibit the public servants from accepting or soliciting illegal gratification in the discharge of their official functions. Whistleblowers Protection Act of 2014. In It provides a mechanism to investigate alleged corruption and misuse of power by public servants, and also protects anyone, and also to protect anyone who exposes alleged wrongdoing movement, bodies, projects, and in offices. So this is a very important act to protect uh, the people who whistleblow the corrupt officer. Next one is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Here, an offense of money laundering has been committed if a person or party are connected to any process with the proceeds of the crime, and such proceeds as untainted property. Like, um, let's say when some process is happening and the public official is connected to it, when a mistake is happening and the public official is connected to it, it brings in prevention of money laundering issues, and such officers must be dealt with. Next one is e-governance initiative to reduce the manual interface between state and citizens, thus preventing the incidence of private. Example, e-auction, faceless assessment scheme, direct benefit transfers, computerization of railway passenger bookings, e-chopa, etc. are all such examples of e-governance initiatives. Next, Citizens Charter and Public Service Delivery and Grievance Redress Action State. Like Sakla initiative in Karnataka and Rajasthan enacted acts to make bureaucracy legally accountable for delivering quality services within stipulated time periods, and also act on the grievances of the states. So these things are very much needed, like proper public service delivery and citizen charter. Next one is OECD guidelines for multinationals in 2011. It provides for guidelines for enterprises to combat bribery and also lay stress on preventive measures. Why to do after it happens? Just prevent it. That guidelines helps for multinational companies. International Code of Conduct for Public Officials. It guides the member states in their efforts against corruption through a set of guiding principles that public servants should follow in the performance of their duties, like in relation to loyalty, integrity, effectivity, efficiency, fairness, impartiality, etc. So these all are coming under the International Code of Conduct for Public Officials. Next one is Lokpal Lokayukta Act of 2013. It provides for the establishment of Lokpal at center and Lokayukta at states. They inquire into allegations of corruption against certain public officials, which includes, for the example, jurisdiction of Lokpal includes Prime Minister, Ministers, MPs, Group A, B, C, D officers, and the officials of the central government as well. It has the power to confiscate assets and other benefits acquired through corrupt means. Like Lokpal is also legally mandated to receive and handle complaints concerning alleged offences against public employees under the 1988 Corruption of Prevent Act. Look, we are connecting here to here. So how we have evolved shows. Next one is Chief Vigilance Commission. The Chief Vigilance Commission is the apex vigilance commission of India, which was set up in 1964 on the recommendation of Committee on Prevention of Corruption, which was headed by K. Sandhanam. It is an independent and of any ministry or department that is only accountable to Parliament and is empowered to inquire into offences alleged to have been committed under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Here again we are linking it by certain categories of public servants, and its annual report under the details of the work done by the commission and points to systematic failures that lead to corruption in government departments. It gives so much details about corruption here. Chief Vigilance Commission. Next one is CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. It was formed as a special police establishment in 1941 to investigate cases of corruption in procurement during World War II. Its important role is to prevent corruption and maintain integrity in administration, and also it works under the supervision of Central Vigilance Commission. It investigated cases connected to infringements of economical and fiscal laws at the request of the department concerned, or also in consultation with the concerned department. It investigates crimes of serious nature that have national and international laws or ramification and are committed by professional criminals or organized groups. Now, what is the way forward? We can look into it. Protection and incentivization of honest people. See, honest people need to be encouraged and incentivized in some way or other to promote corruption-free environment. Like they also need to protection from ill-conceived motives. Free and fair media. A free media has a crucial role in prevention, monitoring and control of corruption. Such media can inform and educate public on corruption, expose the corruption in government, private sector and civil society organization, and also help monitor codes of conduct while policing itself against corruption. Act globally and locally. Corruption is a global problem which requires global solution. Like UN Anti-Corruption Age Working Group and World Bank Anti-Corruption Initiative show that you should act globally and also locally. Ingrained ethical organizational culture. An ethical organizational culture through regular ethical training modules, workshops which encourages effective employee participation and transmission of positive values must be employed that can lead to better motivation and higher levels of self-esteem for public servants. Next one is strict adherence of code of conduct and code of ethics. So we did see about code of conduct and code of ethics in our previous lecture. See, public officials must adhere to the codes in their regular practice and make their moral compass to judge their conduct. So before we conclude, let's look into some best practices. In Hong Kong, the Independent Commission Against Corruption, which we can call it ICAC, Independent Commission Against Corruption, has produced exemplary results by strengthening the ability of civil society to question corruption. It was very successful due to vigorous public education campaigns which brought changes in public attitude towards corruption. So that's something we must know. We can implement right away in India for generating awareness in public to the public rigorously. Next one is in Silchar, Assam. Debo na Nebo na, which means won't give, won't take. An anti-corruption movement along with mobile phone application by the district administration of Kachar in Silchar shows that how corruption has been people have started to tackle it. So with it, let's conclude that the fight against corruption must be turned into a mass movement, like the way Mahatma Gandhi turned struggle for independence into a mass movement. Like we must instill a sense of patriotism among the public officials and the larger public as well, that by following ethical path they are contributing towards the nation building. They must be given a sense of ownership regarding the country that they are living in, and they should be made stakeholders in this process, through which we can all achieve a great nation, building a great nation. So with this, we are completing the ethics lecture, guys. The entire ethics has been done. Hope you guys understood the entire lectures. Do revisit the lectures whenever you feel doubt, and comment if you have any. So we will start with a new subject soon. Thank you, guys.